So the struts don't hold up the hood, so I got that wooden stick there. I also want to do some electrical work. I noticed that one's on, but that one's off, and there's no blown fuses or anything like that. So I just think me driving it, this one finally failed. And someone in the comments said that this color here is red. You know, the previous owner did that. It's supposed to be a gray color, just like a Volkswagen actually. So while I have these out, I'm going to paint that back to gray. It's pretty simple, just so it looks a little better, not so much red. But yeah, these have a screw underneath here on each side, and then this whole ring comes off as one. So I'm going to do that. So I've deconstructed the bucket, and this bucket is still together. And normally this is the actual sealed beam, and it's in this ring, and it slots into there. So I've actually never exchanged a sealed beam before, and I figured I'd document it. The sealed beam itself is held on with this ring and then these little tension bars here. I don't know what you call those, but either way, luckily everything here is kind of indexed with 3 notches on each side here. And there's only one way to put this ring on so that each notch fits properly. You can see the previous owner put top right, probably just to, help quicken the process. There's literally only one way to do this, so there's no way to put that ring on impossibly, or I should say wrong. And then this has 3 tabs. Let me see if I can find one. There's a tab there. You can see that. And those slot into these holes. And I can't do this with a camera with the phone on, so I'll just slow that in. But either way, this, you pick this up, slot it in here, and then you use these bars. You just kind of push them in. Luckily, these aren't under a lot of tension, but I have heard people say, make sure you wear eye protection, because if these goes flying, they could hurt you. But especially these, which I'll show later. But these are pretty easy to put in. I kind of just put 2 in at a time, 2 this way, 2 that way, and then the 5th one. But yeah, this just goes right here with the ring. It's held in between this, and then this goes in the bucket. But I already took this one apart. It's over here, but I'm gonna take this apart as well so I can spray the inside a gray primer. Because actually, when I was doing this for the Volkswagen, they also have the same, almost identical buckets. And this color I found, it's actually a modern color. It was almost identical. Let me see if it can focus. That gray primer 7582 by Rust-Oleum, this professional stuff, it matched perfectly with a bucket I found in a scrapyard that was stock. So it's the same color. This is empty, so I'll have to go to the hardware store, get some new Rust-Oleum, but then I'll spray these, put everything back together, and it should look pretty good. So I have it in here. You can see these metal tabs are sticking out on each, the 3 parts of that triangle. And again, there's only one way to do that, so you can't mess that up, at least for this model. For these Porsches, I guess. I can't recall if you can mess it up on a Volkswagen. But this is a little tip. These look like this. They have a long side and a short side. I put the long side in first, just like that. And make sure that elbow, if you want to call it, is on the metal ring, not on, the actual sealed beam side like that. You don't want that. You want that. So I just hook it into there and then just push it down with my thumb until it slides into there. And you just go around in a circle and the whole thing will be like that. In order to start it off, I did have to put these 2 in and do them at the same time. So I might have to move that one just so they all fit equally. There's 5 rings. I assume that's how they came. I'm not going to be too concerned with this color. I don't know what the original color is. There's an old one from a Volkswagen. You can see it's just silver. Maybe these were originally silver and this guy painted it black. He probably did. Don't know. Don't care, because you can barely see it, and it looks okay for a headlight. At least I think so. We'll see. And this is the before and after. Again, I used this professional primer. They had it at Home Depot here. If you have Home Depot near you, look for that. But yeah, all I did was sand this down 320 and then 600 grit, and then sprayed the primer on it. That's one coat. It's drying now. I'll do the same for this one. And I kept the red on the inside just because I don't think you even see that. So the previous guy obviously did both, but I just sprayed it around. Pretty simple. I mean, it's a silly thing, so might as well do it while it's out. You know, doesn't take any time. So yeah, I'm hoping when I put the lights back in, it looks pretty good, especially with those black rims. I don't know if that'll look how that will look, but at least won't be so much red. So looking forward to that. Hey, so you notice anything different? That stick's gone. So as I'm waiting for the lights to dry, just so I can handle them, I went and installed new struts here. The old struts were actually fine, but if you look up these struts now, there's like a heavy duty version, which is like 400 and something newtons, and then there's a standard, which is 370 or something like that. I guess I could look on those, but get the heavy duty ones, especially if you have like an undercoating like this. I hear a lot of these cars, you know, the hood weighs a lot more than it used to, either with Bondo or these undercoatings, and so the old ones just don't hold up. Some people double these up, and but then like you put a lot of stress on this one hinge. I'd rather have both of the hinges the same, you know, the same strength. So I'm sure you're stressing them a little bit more than stock, but I'd rather stress both equally than just one. And so yeah, no, so now the hood stays up by its own. I mean, it's still pretty weak, but like, hey, it stays up, so I'm not going to complain. I also found out these cars have, I'm used to Volkswagen. Well, they have lights underneath the trunk. This is the trunk area, and there's a light that goes there. I guess the 911s had 2 lights. That's a blackout, like a blank plate, but the 912s only had 1, which is an odd cost saving measure, but I guess, you know, whatever works. So actually, this is the original sub harness. I fished it through. I had to find it, then I had to actually remove it and then fish it back through. So the ending, the fitting here is, you know, I need to put the actual electrical terminals on here. The way this works is there's a switch, like a little push switch, and it's usually mounted right there. And then when you close the hood, it hits on this little metal tab sticking out, and when it closes, it actually grounds out the switch to the chassis. So this is a grounded switch, and so the light always has power, but it only turns on until it's grounded. I also found out this light only turns on when you have your parking lights on. Makes sense, because you probably don't need the light on during the day if you open your hood. Similar to the door lights, like the actual cabin lights when you open the door, in terms of how they function. Now the door lights are open all the time when you open the car, but interestingly, this one is only open when you have the parking lights on, or the running lights, I guess. So I did go and buy some goodies. I was waiting for a while, and these are the rubber caps that go on the door ones, which look like this. So you can see this is brand new. I use the old dishes, and that's how that works. And so those will be for the doors, and then I bought a third one for this trunk light. So that's this one. And then I did buy a new, mine was okay in terms of the housing. This is the new housing for the light. These are the bulbs for it. And this is actually the old, this is the actual metal part. So the glass goes over this. It's actually plastic. And so that will go up in there. And so I'll have all the lights running if I can, you know, do this before oddly enough, the sun goes down. So, but it's a good little project to do while I'm waiting for that paint to dry. And it'll make me feel better about, you know, just making this car feel like a normal car, you know, drive it like a normal car. So yeah, let's I'll get started on this, and then I have some terminals I need to do. I think it taps in on that side, and there's a suspicious loose wire there right here. I think that's it. So this runs down there. It looks like I won't have enough length, so I'll find a way to do it. We'll see. yeah, I have to go to Ace to get some wires or something, but I think I can find some, so we'll see. So that job's done. You can see the light is on right there, which is awesome. Parking lights are on. I did confirm that when you turn the parking lights off, that the trunk light comes off. I closed it. I was able to see the light turn off. I'll show you that. And then here's the actual switch. That is connected to a ground. I actually crimped that and soldered it because I think I saw that's how the doors were. So I had my soldering iron out here, but it's pretty solid. And you can see when the door closes, light turns off. So that's pretty cool. And I'll have to just tuck this wire on that clip. I did have to make a butt splice, and I did that. And so doesn't look as clean as I'd like it to. I could always put some black, shrink wrap or something on there to make it look tidier. But at least I found a white wire because it matches the white and black stripe. And so there you go. There's one job done, and I wonder if I can film. I don't know if you guys believe me, but when you close it, let's see what happens. There it goes. So you turn it off, and it works. I don't know if I mentioned, but this didn't have threads all the way to this nut. Actually, the thread stopped, so I had to put in a washer in there so that the threads could contact the metal of the hood, so of the ground. So if you are doing this, make sure that make sure that this is solid and that's making good contact. I actually cleaned it out with some sandpaper and brushed that clean. And then this is just a washer from like a Harbor Freight kit. I don't know what was originally there. Maybe the original switch didn't need a washer, but either way, this is a rubber washer. So if this is a little tight when it closes, at least that washer will give, there's a little strain relief there, I guess. And I don't know, I'll see how long it lasts. I mean, it looks pretty solid. So there you go, one job done. So I ran out of daylight, ironic, but I did get the passenger side light in. Don't know if it'll focus, but close the door, lights turn off. It's pretty cool. Looks pretty good. And these work. You push them, which is pretty cool. So that's how you turn them off. And if you're in the car, that's how you turn them on when you're in the car. And there's two in this car as opposed to one. What I'm used to on the Beetle only has one. But pretty easy. I actually didn't show this on camera, but I took both of these apart and really cleaned them good and cleaned all the contacts, and actually had to cut away a little bit of the headliner, which I actually don't think is original. I think it was redone, and to make good contact, because these are grounded out as well. That's how they work. So when you push this, it's selecting the ground inside the housing. When you have them normal, like right now, it selects the ground in the car. And then when you have them, you push them that way, there's no ground at all, so it turns off. So that's how they work. Pretty cool. I might have enough light from the interior light to do that one, so I'll see if I can. So I figured I'd show you just how I'm doing these in case I wasn't clear before. Again, this is a ground wire, so when the door's closed, you can see that it would be pushed out like that, and that metal part isn't contacting that metal part, which is connected to the chassis, which is the ground. So when the door's open, everything's connected, and then ground is established, and current flows. But either way, it's hard to see, but there's a little. There we go. I throw copper in there, new copper. Thread it in there and squeeze that tight, and then I also put enough to fold it back so that this is tight. And then I'm going to go ahead and actually solder that. So there's no chance of that ground getting loose. You do have to be careful. This black portion is a plastic. And so you don't want to get this metal part too hot, because then you start melting that plastic. It's not too hard. It's maybe overkill, but I don't want this ground wiggling loose inside, you know, the body. So yeah, I'll do that, and that'll be the last one for today. Hey, so I put the new buckets on, new spray painted buckets, and they look okay. I'm happy with them. The sun's kind of setting, so I'm not sure how it'll show in the video. It looks pretty good, but you know, maybe you can see there. Reassembled them. There's that gray color and the black around the actual license, the actual light, I mean. But no, they look really good. You know, it looks more original. Next time they're out, I might paint those rings that are black gray too, just cause. But I mean, I don't mind it. It looks fine. So looks a little more original, I guess. We'll see. You know, really need to add bumpers, but for now it looks good. And I leveled the lights as much as I could during the day, and they're way brighter than the other ones. So I guess they do kind of get dimmer over time with, you know, just age. But these ones are really bright. You know, it looks like a new car, I guess. So yeah, and so that's it. That's the end of this video. I did finally get some new parts in. I was waiting over a month for them. You can see that little rubber thing sticking out. That's kind of the hint for what parts I was waiting for. They're all rubber parts. Kind of boring to install, but I got some new rubber coming and a speedometer cable, so I can actually see how fast I'm going, which would be nice. But that's in the next video. So thanks for sticking around, and until the next one, see ya.